Hey there, fellas. Here it is, this little baby. And while we definitely don't want to abandon it, here's what we need to do. Finalize the bodywork, of course, as well as the interior, fit some sort of engine to it. Also, we're keen to drive this thing. So let's quickly finish the build and see what comes out of it. Let's go. After cutting and miniaturizing the roof, we've got some panel gaps. Now we're going to be reinforcing the roof's structure and smoothing it out. We're overbuilding the additional reinforcement, the idea being that if we were to opt for installing a powerful engine, the body would hold itself together, and also maintain some semblance of proper kinematic properties. Our top priority is reinforcing the floor pan with some 8mm thick steel sheet, which should be enough to make the shell rigid. We're welding on strip by strip in layers, and in some particularly sensitive areas such as the roof pillars, we're adding 40x20mm or 20x20mm square tubing to make the shell even stiffer. And now the interesting part. Every aspect of this car has been shrunken, that's all good. But here we have the front suspension, minus the subframe. This is the factory front suspension assembly for a Lada. And now we need to figure out how we can fit it to this pint-sized car. We might have to do some cutting. But let's do some dismantling and test fitting, and gauge how well these components are going to fit our creation. Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty. We've bolted the suspension links to the factory mounting points, where the subframe would be. The upper wishbone bolts up to the stock holes, because we were able to preserve the strut towers. But as we have scaled the car down somewhat, we need to shift the position of the wheel inside the wheel arch. That means we're going to have to play around with the alignment. We do have to sort out a few minor issues, but once we do, everything is going to work properly and the wheels will be in the correct position. Let's discuss the rear suspension. Right here we have the factory rear axle for a Lada, which of course we're going to have to narrow down. It also has to be miniaturized, for it to fit the car. Tear it apart, we're most likely going to have to cut the housing, together with the axle shafts. But shortening is easier than extending. All of this is extremely straightforward, so let's make the axle narrower and fit it to the car. We've designed the subframe in such a way for us to be able to mount the engine onto it and for it to also be integrated into our suspension. We're machining some sleeves to connect the axle shafts. Also, the brake mechanism will be mounted on one, as well as the sprocket that's going to be transferring the torque. We thought we'd fit a small engine, this being a tiny Lada. This one was made in China. But don't let the size fool you, it has got 17 horsepower. And we have a feeling that this might even be too much for such a small car. Weight is an important factor here. We've yet to place this onto a scale, but 2 people can pick it up and move it around the room fairly easily. Obviously, fitting an engine and suspension to it will make it heavier, but we get the impression that this thing is going to be very fast. Sorting the rear end of this car was fairly simple. We've welded a subframe, we've chopped the axle, fitted a sprocket, a brake rotor, and connected to the axle we have an engine. And it's a good thing that this is running a centrifugal clutch. But let's fire this up and see how it works. Open the tap. Come on now. Look at that. How do we stop it? Alright, while it starts, stuff spins. So let's get this into the car. Yeah, we still need to sort the brakes. Then we fit this to the car and see how it's able to move around. Ever since we put the body together, making this thing roadworthy given the size is not a simple matter. Also, to get the whole thing right and prevent it from falling apart, a lot of thought and revisions go into it. You make a part, you test fit it. If it doesn't fit well, it's back to square one. So yeah guys, the suspension is causing us trouble. This is like the 15th time we're revising it. We're trying to do the best we can. When test fitting the suspension, we identified a few problems which require us to make some slight alterations. Slightly change the size of certain parts. We're cutting metal out from the rear end, and to prevent the rear end from falling off, we're reinforcing it with some bracing. We wanted to do the painting immediately after finishing with the reinforcement, but we got carried away while working on the suspension and certain styling elements. Looks like we're going to do the painting only after the car is able to move around. And now we get to the interesting part, guys. We are now going to weigh this lovely thing. Let's see. 290 kilos. That is just... But if I get in, it's going to be 390. So this thing is tiny and it's light. That is very good. The car is 1.5 times smaller, but the weight has been reduced threefold. That is very good indeed. And now that we've weighed it, the next thing to do would be trying to drive it. Another critical component would be climbing into this thing. But first deeper, then a bit higher. Okay, here we go. We are off. Come on now, come on. Hold up! Holy cow! This is a lot of fun. The steering isn't really confidence-inspiring, with the front end being so light. There's basically nothing up front, which isn't necessarily ideal, but in any case, it does move, and that makes me happy. What if I go this way? This could end pretty badly, though, which isn't a desirable outcome. So almost. What's the matter? Oh, something is broken. We're on fire. A seal went. A seal went. For real. The reducer seal? Oh, holy cow. That means the breather is clogged up. Where is it? Where is it? I think it's on the filler cap. There it is. If the seal was blown out, that means the pressure couldn't find a way out. So the reducer... Perhaps the oil was just that quick to get hot. The pressure couldn't find its way out through the breather, the gases couldn't exit in time, and the seal popped out. Whatever, I mean, we put it back in, checked the oil level, now everything is working just fine. Once again, we are revisiting and rethinking the suspension setup. We've removed the complex trapezoid mechanism, now we are running simple straight steering rods. And we're using a steering arm of a different type, to get the suspension kinematics closer to where they'd be in an actual car. Before it was very abrupt to react, and we didn't have enough steering lock in one direction. We've identified that the rear shock absorber isn't absorbing any shock, resulting in the rear end jumping around. We're installing an additional shock to keep the car from rocking around and make sure it's well behaved. So look here, guys. We've removed the reducer, which caused us trouble during the test drive. With all of the smoke, the car refusing to move, and so on. Here we have the reduction gear chain drive. We're running 2-to-1 reduction, and this is a centrifugal clutch. As for how this works, you have steel and friction discs, and this last bit has weights on it. When it starts spinning, the centrifugal force makes them press against the disc, the whole thing locks, and off we go. And the problem here is we have friction. You see, this clutch is rated up to 10-12 horsepower tops, while we're running 17. So these are slipping, getting hot, the oil is starting to boil and to emit gas. The breather is integrated into this cap. It was getting overwhelmed by that amount of gas, resulting in this lovely seal popping out. We took everything apart, did some repairs. Now let's piece it back together, fit it to the car, and go drive some more. We've revised the front suspension, the steering lock situation is much better now. It's just as nice and supple as it was before. And now we just need to test it some more. Drive around, see how it behaves, how it steers, and overall just learn more about this tiny car. And about its road manners. Let's go. Okay, here we go. Come on now, come on. Yeah, there are a few issues. The thing is, Nah, seems to be moving. Didn't last long, though. So here's the situation, guys. The transmission that we installed with the centrifugal clutch is just shite, and it isn't working for us. But we'll get that sorted. We do want this thing to be quick. Also, we want to finalize the exterior, spray on some paint, do something with the interior, and just make it all tip-top. Subscribe so that you don't miss what's happening next. And that's it for this video. Catch you guys later. To be continued.